Hey, this is Trevor, Education Programmer with Stark Parks. Right now we're gonna go up to the second, third, and fourth floor of the mill. But before we go there, I just wanted to show you what one of our cups look like. So these metal cups are attached to a belt. And if you remember from that first video where the grain would first go into that bin in the mill, it would go into that bin and then cups like this would take it upstairs. So anytime that something goes up in the mill, it's gonna go up through a chute with cups and belts just like this. So right now we're still on the first floor. We're gonna make our way up to the second floor. This chute right here will come into play here in a second because the separator machine that's upstairs, when grain first goes up there, it's gonna go through the separator. Once it gets kind of cleaned up, it can either go down to this rail car to where it can get weighed, and you can see there's a scale in the window there. And once it's weighed, this cart actually will slide over to this chute here and go into another bin and then go back upstairs. Or if it didn't need to get weighed, there used to be a tube that was connected that would just go straight to that chute, and then it would go back upstairs to the fourth floor, and it would begin its journey to storage or into production. So now we're going up the steps to the second floor, and I'll point out a few things up here. This giant machine in front of you, this is a Niagara dust collector. It had a bunch of different sock sleeve type pieces to it that would collect the dust. Milling is a very dusty job, and the dust could actually be hazardous to any mill just because it's so dry. This whole building is made of wood, so any kind of spark or things like that could potentially make a fire. That's why around the mill, a lot of times you see signs like this that say smoking forbidden in this area. When Stark Parks took over the mill, we actually had to add in a fire suppression system. So that's what a lot of this black piping is that's around. In the event of a fire, it would be able to hopefully put out that fire. This machine right here, this is what's called a sifter. So it kind of acts like another set of screens. As you can see some of the labels on here, they could adjust the levers of it based on if we're making a product called cracked corn, or if we were making a finer corn meal out of it. And when this would run, it would actually oscillate back and forth. And that oscillation would push that corn through various screens. And there's actually a screen sitting over there. And inside of here is where those screens would go. This would continually shake, shake, and shake. And then you can see the bottom, there's some more cloth-like sleeves, and it would continue to be pushed through the machine and go down those chutes. So that is the sifter. This machine over here, this is what we call the shaker. It's another type of separator. And those, that bin and those chutes that we just saw on the first floor, those actually come from this. So that grain would go up over top, would drop down in the machine, and these parts right here, these handles, if this was unlocked, you would pull those out and you would get a screen that would look like this. Now we have all different types of screens over here, and when a miller would be running a certain type of seed, whether it be oats or whether it be wheat or whether it be corn, since all of those things are various sizes, they would find a screen that would match the right size of holes that they would want, so that way it would be able to fall through. And what this really is doing is it's getting rid of all the things that you don't want. So if the corn came in off of the semi truck, and if there was a rock or a piece of the cob or something along those matters of where it's not meant to be there, this machine will shake. It will kind of act like if you go to a beach and you're using a sifter to sift through the sand, all the stuff that you want will fall through, all the stuff that you don't want would actually be exited it would go down a different pathway and it could be bagged out separately from the process. So that is the shaker. We already saw the dust collector. We saw the sifter. Over here, we also have another revolving sifting bolter. You can see more of the chutes that we talked about down on the first floor that had to do with the flour production process. Back here, these are some very large bins. I'll show you where the tops to these are on the next floor, but these can hold multiple tons. They would hold primarily corn, but also hold oats and things like that. So next, we are going to go up to the third floor, and you can see this steep staircase that I gotta climb here to make my way up. The first place that we're gonna go is back into this back corner. This for me is one of the most terrifying places of the mill, and you'll see here in a second. So this right here is the grain silo. Now, it is very, very deep. It goes all the way from this level, all the way down into the basement. And these silos could hold up to around 15,000 bushels of wheat at one time. So that would be a lot of production capacity. But these are gigantic and go all the way down to the basement. So over here we have a very large sifter, and once again that sifter, it would oscillate. It would have different screens that would filter through and push that through. This one, you can read the label there of the manufacturer. It came from Illinois, and you can see once again all of the different tubes that would send that down further through the machine. Here's another shot of one of those silos that goes all the way down, and you can even see that there is a ladder here that will go all the way down there as well, if they ever had to get in there and grab something or clean something out. So this tube right here, this has in it what's called an auger, and I'll show you one of these opened up on the fourth floor. But an auger, essentially, it's a screw that spins, and this is how product will go horizontally in the mill. So anything that needs to go side to side will be gone through an auger. If it needs to come down, we just let gravity use it, and if it needs to go up, we use those elevator cups, which we saw before. So you can see from here, from the fourth floor, things would come down to this auger here. It would move through these and go to a certain bin. So you can see that one says oats. You can see that one says 2.5 ton for that size of the bin. And then this one goes to our large corn bin, which would hold 8.5 tons. So that is where it would be stored until we would be ready to use it. Over here, this is the top of the elevator. So this is all the higher that it will go. And you can kind of see the top of the framework there. So that miller could quickly go up to the third floor and check things as needed. And that was something that was very common, that they would have to check on the machines all the time just to make sure that they weren't clogging up, especially since all this stuff is made of wood. Things could expand, contract very easily, and could cause some problems. These are covering up more bins that, once the top of the elevators, it gets to the top here, and then it would go into more of these bins here as well. So next we're gonna go up to the fourth floor. Before we head up that way, you can see right here are some of the new boards that they had to put in to be able to support the building. You can also see one of our very bright lights that were put in. Those were put in once all the restoration work started. So that way the contractors would be able to obviously see what they were doing. But it's kind of made it really nice for us because we were able to make this video with having more adequate light. And it really makes you wonder how the millers were able to do all the work in here for all those years with the light that they did have before. Now this is the 4th floor. This is the final spot. And up here are a lot of the tops of the elevators. So if we're dealing with something like corn, it'll make its way up to here, and then it'll go through an auger, which I'll show you here momentarily, and then go back down to the 3rd floor to where it's gonna get stored or go into production from there. But before I show you the auger, I wanted to show you this doorway here. You might have noticed some of the doors on the other levels, but these actually do open up. You can get a nice view of the road way down there. And the reason they had these doors is because there was a pulley system that they had set up to where they could just pulley heavy items up to this level that might have not have been very good to try to carry up the stairways. You also had a nice shot back there of one of the new windows that we've had put in. There's a whole lot of windows in this building, and they were all replaced as part of the ongoing restoration. So this is the auger, and I'm gonna get a flashlight here so you can see it a little bit better. But it's a cylinder that acts like a screw, and this will just continually turn and turn and turn. And if we're dealing with something like corn, it'll just push it all the way along to be able to send it to the front or the back of the building. And from there, we'll let gravity take its course and take it downstairs to where it needs to go. So with that, that is pretty much the tour of the building. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you want to keep up to date on some news with the mill or any other ongoing projects with Stark Parks, I'd recommend that you go to our website, starkparks.com. So thank you and have a great day.